Andor are pissed on my fucking wife.
No!
Start your sublight engines. It's time for Palps Pod Race, a queer Star Wars podcast. Welcome back to our Andor discussion this week about Episode 7. What does it just say? Announcement.
That's the name of the episode. The name of the episode
Oh,
is
yeah!
announcement.
It's because when I
Jess is like, what announcement are you guys talking about?
Guys, I have an announcement to make.
When I went to watch it last night, I clicked on it right when it popped up, so it only said episode 7. It didn't say the title of it yet when I clicked on it. So I'm Jess. My pronouns are they, them. You can find me on social media at Kawaii Jessio, and my gender this week is Luthen selling Mon Mothma the price bus so that she can hit Perrin over the head with it.
So true.
It's been so long since we've had a price bust mention.
I'm thinking about him being like, this is my most precious artifact. I don't even really know where it came from, but it's wildly expensive, and it's a full tilt bust of Arinda price.
Yes.
And she's like, I swear to God, I just saw this woman maybe a year ago walking around on Coruscant doing some bullshit.
Speaking of Rebels, did you guys see they had the Jedi mask? I don't think they had that in previous episodes. The Jedi mask that Kanan
the Temple
wears,
Guard.
Told y'all, Quizzy was there.
No, I'm saying that's probably where Thrawn got it. It was in his
from
office.
Luthen?
That's
From
interesting.
Canonical Luthen stan Thrawn.
Is this our one Thrawn reference? Not clickbait.
I just wanted to shout out our besties, other Jess, J Beans, Draws, and Josh, because of fun little Twitter interaction last night that we were talking about Arinda Price, because there's a lady who had the same haircut, and we're all like, Arinda? And then I said, haha, this episode was actually ghost written by the Price Bust.
If Arinda Price had to work customer service, and not just in a Hill staffer kind of way, but actual, if she had to work as a server, I think it would have fixed her. I think it would have radicalized her, and
true.
I think she would have been better. I think she just didn't have that life experience.
I'm Noah. My pronouns are he, him. You can find me on social media at The Jewish Jedi. And my agenda this week is Mon Mothma's Fruity Little Cocktail. I was just kind of obsessed with all the dinner scenes, frankly, and I was especially obsessed with her absolute slayage of her outfit with the little drinky drink she sort of handed to someone. I kind of want to be her.
Absolutely. I was like, oh my God, she's just like me for real. She's a white woman who loves a fruity little drink.
She's slaying fiercely. I feel like I could hang out with her. I feel like we'd be friends.
Also, her little banker friend, he's
Tay.
What is it with politicians and having a little banker friend? I feel it is a commentary. He's much more slay than Clovis, obviously. I fear he went to school with her and then he was radicalized and he's like, but I did grow up rich. Did they have a little something going on between them? Because I felt a little something.
No, because I for a second was like, do you think that she's as Cover is trying to make her husband think that she's cheating on him with Tay so that she could be like, if he's trying to think that she's doing something illicit, it'll be like, oh my God, she's cheating on me, and not oh my God, she's trying to fund a rebellion.
Reynolds pamphlet is...
No.
Shut the fuck up. I'm sorry, that's so mean. No, but I did think Perrin
No, because no. I'm sorry, because that makes Perrin Eliza Hamilton.
What? Oh my God, yeah. You see, but yeah,
Perrin's burn.
Perrin has no room to talk. He looked like he was fucking flirting with these other women at the party too, but he also did look like he was already getting jealous of Tay when they're walking away. He fucking put his arm around Mon's waist, and me watching, I was like, get your fucking arm off her. I'm going to get a job.
I know you're married, but fuck you.
No, because she was wearing the revenge dress. She was in her Princess Diana era. She's truly, I need Mon Mothma to enter a consensual workplace relationship with Tay.
But there is precedent for this, because in Leia, Princess of Alderaan, their cover, remember they have the dinner parties with the Organas, and their cover is
their swinger dinner parties. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
yes, that's literally what they do. They try to they are trying to draw attention away. They are literally trying to convince everyone that Bale and Mon are having an affair.
I fear that I was like, this better happen. And also, is the new flirting line my politics are a bit more radical than you think they are. I was like, oh, okay. All right.
I want a scene of Mon Mothma where a pearl necklace falls into a bowl of soup and then she eats the pearls and is also played by Kristen Stewart.
Hello, my name is Mel. I use they, them pronouns. You can find me on social media at Melvin Culpa and on TikTok at Grunkle Rex. And my gender this week is deossified Yularen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, is that Yularen? Because what happened?
Yeah.
He got Bylert valenced.
Yeah, he got deossified. I mean, honestly, he kind of was giving, oh my gosh, Garrick Versio. That is kind of who he was giving, which is so sad for Yularen.
I was like so confused when I saw him last night because it's just like, is that Yularen? I was like, wait, no, wait, yes, and then the subtitles did say Yularen, and also all the Thrawn Chiss Twitter like besties were like, we gotta win, Thrawn Chiss Twitter besties, Yularen is here. I was like, damn, this is not the win I wanted, but
We're
okay.
grasping at fucking straws at this point.
I just found it super interesting that they cast this gentleman as Yularen, because like usually they're very good at like finding someone who looks a lot like the actress or actor. Sorry, I said actress because I was thinking specifically.
Hashtag women's stories matter. Hashtag women in Empire Yularen.
Hashtag her story.
I was thinking about Leia in Rogue One, like the woman that they cast then to like use her face to put Carrie Fisher in. And then also to the same extent, like Luke in The Mandalorian. Point is, they usually cast someone who like looks relatively like the person. I was thinking about like the actual like canonical live action Yularen that we have in A New Hope, and that gentleman, they do not look alike. They don't even look like they could be cousins.
Yeah. I was just like, is this just another white guy in the ISP? Oh shit, it's Yularen.
Oh my god,
No,
Yularen!
like he got de-yassified and then gets re-yassified by the time of A New Hope.
Well, he gets re-yassified by Rebels.
Yeah.
He just had a really bad weekend the weekend before this took place. He got melted and then just kind of got reformed.
Weekend at Moss's.
No, Weekend at Moss's.
I'm Ollie. I use any pronouns. You can find me on social media at Ollie Fresh. That's Fresh with a PH. And my gender this week is, why don't you just drop a car battery on his head? And it's Cyril Karn getting a car battery dropped on his head, like Jade and Victorious.
I can't express. I think every bone in my body would reset to its original form if I could see Cyril Karn brutally crushed under the weight of a car battery and just watch him like collapse like a paper doll, just like flatten to the ground.
Like a Looney Tune with an anvil on top of him. Like,
well,
that's exactly what happens too. I mean, for those of you who don't know, there's a scene in Victorious where Jade gets a car battery dropped on her head and she just kind of gets knocked the fuck out, and I think that should happen to Cyril Karn.
I know you're joking about Cyril Karn and him getting a cartoon anvil basically dropped upon his head, in this case a car battery, that has already happened in this show. Nemec literally got crushed by like a cartoon anvil. Like guys, that was the last episode.
Yeah, but I wasn't thinking about Jade from Victorious then. Okay.
Is Cyril Karn who is Cyril Karn from Victorious coded?
Rex?
Yeah, he's the puppet.
because Rex is not. We don't talk. No, I can't. Because Rex is Skeen. I think
Rex is a counter-revolutionary bitch. What?
No, he literally is. Rex watches Fox News. Rex doesn't believe in climate change.
Hi, my name is Claudia. My pronouns are she, her. You can find me on social media at Kaludia Says, Kaludia Says. My gender was originally going to be supernatural themed, but I was pulled back from that. It was a pun about Cassian Andor and Castiel. It's not that funny. But my gender actually was brought to you by Mel, who thought of the funniest fucking thing. The droid at the end, we don't really know if his name is, will be K2SO. I don't believe that he is.
He was given a designation.
Oh, he was given a designation, and that is MR305. Otherwise, his nickname is Mr. Worldwide, because that is clearly Star Wars Miami, and that is Pitbull.
Wait. Okay, in all of the other Star Wars like live action shows so far, they've had like random like musical guests. Like there was Thundercat, and then there was the guy from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I've been like, where's Bad Bunny? He needs to be in Andor. We didn't get Bad Bunny. We got Pitbull instead. He's bald. And like, imagine, like POV, Cassian gets choked on the street and arrested by Pitbull. Not clickbait.
I mean, here's the other thing too, is that very well, I actually heard he was played by, the droid was like, mocap was done by Pitbull. He just didn't have any speaking lines.
We did also fight a little bit about whether that planet at the end, is it Star Wars Miami or is it Star Wars Cancun? Vote in the comments.
All right, has everyone submitted their vote? Okay, great.
Let's discuss the episode. It's called Announcement. The announcement should have been that Cassian comes out as gay, because it was like, I'm going to say this. We got Cinta and Vel. Congratulations. I would like to see more of them when they reunite. I hope they kiss on the mouth, etc., etc. However, in that one scene where, you know, we saw Cassian in his slut era, because we really only heard people talk about how he's a slut, and then we get to see that he is a slut. Although it does seem like he was hooking up with one woman for a while, because it seemed like they've been hanging out for a bit. I was like, maybe he's not a slut. And then I realized, I was like, they could have easily made that a man and then been like, he's bisexual, congrats, and then just like kept it pushing. And
Okay, wait, speaking of that woman, I know she was probably like chewing gum or something. I swear to God, I was like, is she taking birth control right now?
No, she literally popped Plan B. Like, she said, we are not getting a little Cassian running around on this day.
No,
that is guys,
Young
wait.
Sheldon asks spinoff.
No,
Cassian.
No, because that would be if he was a young child.
That's
I'm
true.
thinking if this had happened last year before Shadow of the Sith came out, we could have been like, oh my God, Cassian's daughter is Rey's mom.
Stop.
That's
No,
so
but it
dark.
wouldn't even be a little Cassian to her. She'd be like, oh, a little Keith. Because remember, he
Okay,
said
but
his name is Keith.
Rey's mom is white, so
What kind of name
Okay,
is
well, Chief
And-
Keef, the disrespect.
I love how we have Grief Karga and now we have Keef.
Keith
Keith-
Grieger?
Yeah.
Why do you keep
Grieger,
choosing
I
these
think?
ass names?
Cassian, you gotta come up with like more interesting names, buddy.
I mean,
Yeah.
to be fair, if I probably wouldn't remember it, so like, I think it's a great name if you're just like, I'm just trying to be low key. Keith,
So-
sure.
Yeah, like, what are you, a fucking try guy?
You're done. Oh my, Cassian, the
My
Rogue One
God.
crew are the Try Guys.
Cassian is eating the whole menu at this like beach resort.
Tim is Ned.
No, no!
The way that they discussed him in this episode, and he was like, yeah, I mean, clearly he was jealous, and she was like, okay, but like anybody would have turned you in because we're all kind of fucked, and he was like, but he was jealous, right? And I was like, I fear you are still very down bad, sir.
I did really enjoy that part though, with Cassian being like, your boyfriend turned me in, your jealous boyfriend turned me in, yet I'm the villain here. Which I was just
Yeah.
like, that's so true.
He was actually in the right there. Like, everyone was like, oh, whatever. And he was like, I have money. We could just leave. Like, and, you know, your boyfriend is an ass and whatever. And everyone's like, I don't know, whatever. Like, he seemed very logical. Like,
But at the same time, they had points too of like, the Empire is everywhere. There's like no escaping them, Cassian.
He
and
said,
learned that
I'm,
real quick.
yeah, he literally said, I'm gonna escape the Empire immediately. Could not be more than 2 months later is getting arrested by the Empire.
No, literally, he was like, my cottagecore
For something
fantasy.
he didn't even do.
His cottagecore fantasy could not escape settler colonialism. It's so dark for him.
Is
Flop. He
it a
flops.
is it a commentary about how people of color cannot have the cottagecore fantasy because the you know, imperialism will always follow? Who could say? Although apparently it was a commentary on mandatory sentencing minimums. I was like, oh, I see, that's where we're going. Holy shit! All right.
Oh no, literally. Also, the fucking the Patriot actification.
Okay, because they've kind of done a commentary on Patriot Act twice now in Star Wars. Like, they definitely, in the prequels, it was definitely a commentary on the Patriot Act. Like, sir, we know, George, you had some shit to say about Dick Cheney. And then they did this, and I was like, Deidre was like, so according to the Patriot Act, I was like, ooh, okay, she's in her Karl Rove era. Okay.
Oh my god, that scene also with Deidre. She was girl bossing like really hard. What's his name? Blevin?
Why is his name Blevin? It's
I
so
know, because
hateful.
out loud I was like ninja, because for those of you who don't know, the flop
We know.
streamer
We
ninja.
know.
Well, I'm talking about to our audience, Claudia. Not everyone's as chronically online as you are.
Yeah, Claudia.
Tyler Blevins is the name of the streamer ninja, who yells at children whilst playing Fortnite.
I would just say, the thing about Deirdre is, and it's happened to me when I read Thrawn 2017, is I'm like, yes, she's a fascist, but on the other hand, I love a girl boss, and I'm like, I'm watching her slay her way through this meeting, and I'm like, I really don't want to watch you win, but unfortunately, you're really fun to
pricification.
watch.
I will say,
Literally, oh my God, she's gonna get that horrible bob soon.
No, not
I
in Andor season 2. She has the bob.
no, I will say, I do like the balance where they're like, we're not just gonna show you a fascist girl boss, we're gonna show you a rebellion. Like, we have balance. They're like, we're gonna have both sides of girl bossery. The girl bossery, like the Force, can be used for both evil and good. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I love that balance. That's so great. Because the stuff with was this one of the episodes that was written by Beau Willimon or not? I didn't check. I don't think it was. I gotta check. But like, this was the episode where I was like, oh, we've entered our House of Cards era. Okay. All right. Yes, I'm here. I'm with it. Also, she did have a white woman moment where there was like the black guy following the rules and like doing his job well. And then she was like, so I'm not going to follow the rules. And then she was rewarded for that. And you're like, oh, this is very dark.
That entire scene, I was like, white woman moment, white woman moment, white woman moment, white woman moment.
And she's like, feminism.
I know.
Did it.
Literally, I was like, oh my God, she's burning her bra. Guys.
Is she a turf?
Oh, that is what I'm
Do
going
you
to
have
put
to ask?
I'm putting my stake in the ground. She's not a turf. She's for the culture.
She's like, I don't care if you're trans as long as you hate people who hate the Empire.
That's like that video of those conservative women where they're like, we don't care if you're white, we don't care if you're black, but we care if you vote for Trump.
Yeah, no, she's fully singing the Real Women Vote for Trump song in the fucking, like,
Real women vote for Palps.
Yeah.
On the other side of the girl boss coin, the rebellion girl bosses with Clea and Vel, which for a moment I didn't recognize Vel. I'm sorry to Vel. She just was so slay that I was just like, oh my God, a new girl boss? I was like, wait, no, that's Vel.
Clea's outfit? I was like,
Clea was so slay.
18 shots of her walking, just slaying. And I was like, yeah, walk the fucking Coruscant runway, girl. Like, damn.
That whole scene also was just like, oh, I feel conflicted because, like, on one hand, like Clea has a point. Like, Cassian is a loose end now. They don't know if he's like really on their side because Guy was just like, haha, I don't want to be a part of this. Goodbye, never contact me again. And so they're like,
Luthen did say he could do that.
But like Luthen wanted Cassian. I mean, I guess Vel could have returned Luthen's fun little Kyber necklace, but I think Luthen was really hoping that Cassian would, like, side with them. And so now that Cassian was like, they're like, okay, this is a loose end. Also, Clea definitely seems like the more cautious of the two between Luthen and her, and she's just like, yeah, no, we got to get rid of the boy boss. Vel, do your fucking job, like how Cinta is doing her job. And now I'm worried about like Vel having to go into her bounty hunter era and go capture Cassian, probably save him from jail. But I'm worried about that situation.
I will say that was one of my favorite parts of the episode. First of all, Jess, I also didn't recognize Val when I first saw her. I was like, oh my God, Slay, your hair looks so good. And I was like, who the fuck is that? Like, it took me a second. But I will say that there were two really big thematic moments in this episode that I absolutely loved. And it's something that I will not shut up about since the show started, about how it talks about rebellion and how it talks about what that actually means. And this was one of those scenes when she was like, look, I know it's shitty, but you do need to deal with him because right now he's just something we can't afford to deal with. We're too fragile right now. And the other scene was when Mon went to Luthen's shop and she was like, this was really, really bad. And he's like, this is necessary. Like, I'm sorry to tell you that this is what we're going to have to do. And if you're not okay with that, that's fine. Like, back out. But this is necessary for us to work with. And I really like how this show like draws its lines in terms of like I think a lot of the realities of the rebellion, they get glossed over in like a lot of the movies and stuff. I really enjoy it. Also, I can't talk enough about how like I really love political dramas, and I'm getting so much good political drama from this show. Like all the Mon Mothma scenes, I was like, this is slay. I could watch an hour and 45 minutes of just this every single week.
I was wrong. This episode was not written by Beau Willimon. It was written by a combination of people, but includes Stephen Schiff, who worked on The Americans. That's why all the spy stuff slayed so fucking hard. The director, it did give me a little jump scare while you were talking, because the director has worked on both The Crown and Sherlock.
Mon Mothma's Reichenbach Fall. Thoughts?
The Coruscant Fall.
Oh no!
No, I'm just thinking about us fucking joking about The Crown. Was it last week? And to find out one of the writers actually worked on The Crown this week.
It's
Oh my
getting
God.
so dark.
When will the Beatles make a cameo in
No!
Andor?
I will say, as we're getting more into the political stuff, like, if Bail Organa doesn't show up, I'm gonna start swinging, because I'm calling it Latinophobia. I'm gonna start swinging. And also, when she said only 3 people know about this, I'm assuming she means her and Luthen. But who else? Oh, well, and I guess
Bail.
Clea. But I'm also like, but she's been working with Bail.
I'm
like,
No,
I think she's talking about Bale.
Yeah.
I still think the person that she wants to bring in is Saw Gerrera.
I don't think she wants to bring in Saw. I think if anyone's
I
gonna
don't-
be bringing in
yeah.
Saw, it's gonna be Luthen. He's gonna be like, "Oh my god, my little friends!
Well,
I agree
Met
with
this
that.
guy."
she seemed resistant and desperate about it, because that was at the point where she was like, hey, I don't have any money, so we're gonna have to like partner with these people. And she said, oh, I'm gonna have to reschedule this meeting because apparently Vel has to meet with Clea or whatever. I don't know. I still think it's it's Saw.
I mean, I think one thing when we talk about the person she wants to bring in, she could have been talking about Tay.
That's who I thought she was.
Like,
talking
that's
about.
who she's probably talking about, being, because like that's her homeboy who's gonna help her access her family funds. But I feel like, I mean, I also, though I do get on Claudia's half, I don't think this is in context of like this conversation, but I do still think that it would be really interesting thematically for Mon to be the one who's like, oh, there's this revolutionary who the Republic helped in the past, Saw Gerrera, and the almost like poetic situation it would be if she was the one who brought him in, and then she was the one who said we can't be doing this, which I still think I have a lot of conversations about how I think Saw Gerrera, vis-a-vis Saw Gerrera versus Mon Mothma, because I think when we talk about the two of them, I almost feel like this show is setting up Mon's arc to be like, I'm actually realizing that you have to be willing to fight, and you have to be willing to use your resources to fight back. It's not like to get her more on that page with Luthen and more on that page with Saw. I really do fear that the like Saw is crazy and his tactics are too harsh or whatever. It really does feel like the we've made our radical revolutionary character too reasonable, so now we need to do something. We need to make them do something really fucked up so that the audience can't sympathize with them, and then make someone like one of our authority figures, Mon Mothma in this situation, be very staunchly against them. Like, so I don't want to be like, oh, Mon's not at fault here, but it's one of those things where I'm like, that feels, it was just, the writing was so poor that I can't even be like, oh, it was a commentary, you know?
Yeah, and they're making Luthen seem like also that kind of character, like the bad guy who's like doing good things but also doing bad things. And like, if Luthen is the one to bring him in, it'll be, and now Luthen has been contrasted against Mon, of like, he's the one who's the bad guy, willing to do bad stuff to get stuff done or whatever. And I feel like that'll just make it worse. But I did have a thought where I was like, you know, Tay, the guy she brought it, I can't believe his name is Tay. What if he did say already that he was like, my political things already swing one way? What if what if he's the one who connects them with Saw?
That would be
he already has some radical connections. And like, who has been funding the Partisans? You know what I mean?
GoFundMe's.
Literally, they've been doing mutual aid GoFundMe.
Change.org petition is how it all started.
Jin Urso is posting GoFundMe links everywhere. Always.
I just got a text from Act Blue about this. What is happening?
I will say the part when they're having that conversation about how all those Aldanis were arrested, it did make me think about how in Rebels, how they were like, we have to go back for people on Lothal because the people on Lothal, they're taking it out on the people on Lothal. And I feel like this is where they're starting to like learn that lesson of like, oh, we need to start like operating basically with space battles and doing like remote mutual aid, because if we're doing raids and shit like this, it's going to affect like the people there even worse. I do fear that they're going to use those kinds of things to make Mon Mothma be like seem like the better revolutionary, when I'm like, okay, but like I know when Sakurero comes up, I'm gonna hate whatever they do with it. I just know that.
I mean, I'm keeping my expectations Sagarera, basically whatever's below hell. Not because I'm like, I know definitively I'm gonna hate it, but because I'm not waiting anywhere for Star Wars as a piece of media to suddenly really understand the politics and dynamics of revolution in any way that's like something that I would be like, that makes sense. That said, I feel like tonally this show and how it like presents and talks about rebellion is really different than a lot of Star Wars. And I mean, obviously like Rebels had a lot of really great moments, but like I think overall I really like this. So it's not that my hopes are not like, it's not that I'm like it's gonna be shit, but I hope that they'll sort of pull it off. And I think what we talked about is sort of correct insofar as like part of what Mon has to go through as a character in these early stages of the rebellion is realizing like you don't win a rebellion with pleasantry. Like it's just not like how that works. And I think like, you know, we saw her reaction of being like, oh fuck, what did you do? But ultimately when Luthen is like, I'm only telling you things you already know, which is that it has to go this way. And she doesn't argue with him. She's like, all right, slay, I guess I'll head out. Like, she's not like, no, fuck you, bye.
I will say, I don't think that they portrayed her as someone of being like, oh, I'm only, like, I'm trying to do things, like, the nice way or pleasantries. I think it was more to show that, like, she's scared of taking risks, which I think really works for her character, because, like, she's one of these people who's been in it since the beginning, basically created the rebellion. They talk a little bit about her little separatist alliance of people. So like it makes sense for her to be like, I want to play it safe, I want to play the long game, etc., and for him to be like, nope, we need to go out in the open and start to just be a rebellion, and start throwing hands. For her to be like, are you make sure about that, my guy? And knowing what occurs, like, you know, eventually they use the fucking Death Star or whatever. Like, I understand. To me, it seemed more like her, and I'm glad that they did this. It seemed more like her fear, less of her like moral, because he said, he was like, you already know this stuff, less of her moral stuff and more of her fear of like, if we do this chess move, we're so fucked, and not just like that more people are gonna be fucked, but like we are so fucked in this way. So I'm glad that they kind of made that a little clear, that it wasn't just like a moral thing. It was, I think, more of their personality strategy wise, which I like. And I like when we're not having fucking leftist discourse on Maine, and instead we're having more of a strategy conversation, because that, again, makes him feel more real. And I think that's a part of the good part of this whole show.
Kind of related, but also deeply unrelated. I just kind of wanted to go back to what we were talking about like Vel and, oh my god, I forgot Luthen's slay little assistant's name. Klexa?
Klexa?
Clea, is that is her name? Okay. In their conversation, they're talking about like Vel's like, oh my god, all my friends are dead except for my girlfriend. What the fuck? And I thought it was interesting, just like kind of how that conversation was framed. Because it was like, for some of the people, she's like, okay, like Nemec, like, he passed away, that sucked. And like, she's like, oh yeah, I recruited Terriman. But like for Cinta, first of all, she doesn't really mention her, and I think it's because, like, you know, she's still alive, and like, but also it made it sound like maybe Synth is the person who knows what the fuck is up, because she's still there and she still had an assignment to do. And that was something I was thinking about, because also Vel mentions, like, that there was something that needed to, like, get destroyed or handled that Cinta was dealing with, and I think it had to do with wherever the fuck she was going in the episode. I need to know what Homegirl is doing, like, what is going on in the House of Commons, because
I think she's just trying to get off the planet, because she's kind of trapped right now.
yeah, but I felt like she had one other assignment, because that's at least how it had sounded, like what Clea had said was like,
Yeah,
she had other shit going on.
Clea was like, she's doing her job, she's following through on the mission.
Maybe she's destroying all the fucking footage because they decided to show their fucking faces like idiots.
She's destroying the VHS tapes that they store. It's like in Knives Out when Marta uses a magnet to destroy the tapes.
She's walking back into the Imperial base with just a huge magnet, and she's like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry, guys."
Oh my god. Okay, Knives Out AU, but it's
No.
Luthen is Benoit Blanc.
That's Luthen and Cinta is Marta.
That's...
I'd watch. Oh my god.
I'd watch it too. Oh
When
my
we
god.
become a Glass Onion podcast and that movie comes out.
No.
When Luthen becomes canonically gay, as confirmed by
So
Ryan
true.
Johnson, then we can talk.
Yeah.
If Benoit
that's so
Blanc
true.
doesn't kiss a man in the next movie, I'll be outside Ryan Johnson's house with a Molotov.
I saw a theory that I was like, after that little scene, I was like, I feel like I'm kind of believing this theory more, that Vel is Luthen's daughter, because the way that her conversation with him initially seemed very, like, I don't know, there was something, like, familiar about it. And then in this conversation, she was like, I expected him to be here. And she's like, it's dangerous for me to be here anyway, girl. Like, be fucking for real. I don't know. And now I'm starting to believe, like, and like, she really doesn't want to believe him blindly, but then she ends up doing it with, like, not a lot of say. Because then I realized, you know, I remember saying in a couple episodes ago, like, why did they seem like so reluctant to argue about this stuff? Like, they're on a mission, they're following orders. And I realized she's the only one really who, like, and she initially questions it, whatever, and I'm like, oh, maybe because she's questioning her dad. If this was just like her command, or not her commanding officer, whatever it would be for an intelligence person, if this is just like her not informant or
Her
whatever
fence, but
yeah,
basically.
her higher up person, I think she would react differently than if this was somebody that she knows, like, if this is somebody that she knows personally. Also, why is she on Coruscant? Like, she could have gone and hid anywhere waiting for instructions. Why is she on Coruscant of all places? Is it because she lives there with her father?
And she's got a bougie outfit too now. So just like, also the way that Luthen did yell at her, like in episode 4, was it? Yeah, when you first meet Vel, I was just like, one that like triggered traumatized kid stuff of parent yelling at you, and yeah, I guess that could make sense.
That was my first thought, but then I was like, maybe it's just because they're both white. But the further we go, I think it's like more and more likely. Another relation that I've seen people talking about on Twitter, and I don't know how much I believe this, but people have been like, what if Clea is Cassian's sister? Which I think is hilarious.
She's white.
I mean, like, Cassian is the white Latino.
That's true.
So listen, I'm just saying. But also, what I do think is funny, this is relating to that conversation that she has with Vel when she's walking in that little red number. I'm like, girl, you are not subtle. You're not subtle at all. You're wearing like.
But that's the point. She's standing out so that she doesn't, you know, look suspicious. Because that's what Cassian did, was like, oh, I'm just gonna look around. I'm just gonna wear my little undercover outfit. And then they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
To be fair, in Space Miami, he was like jogging about, like he was not doing himself any favors. He could have seen that situation and just like stopped, like sat down.
And he kept
I'm not
looking.
Yeah, I'm
He
like,
kept like being like, "What the fuck's going on?" And they're like, "What are you doing?"
you're going
That's
to
really
the corner
sus.
store to get Sour Patch Kids. Like,
Yeah, like I'm not gonna hashtag victim blame him, but like, girl, what are we
Listen,
doing?
he was not
As-
helping himself.
As someone who like grew up in a strict household, and when I like to sneak stuff to my room, I do it in the most casual way and like very openly, because if I'm trying to be sneaky, that's when my like family would be like, what are you doing? But if I'm just walking around like normal and not giving a fuck, then they don't pay attention to me. So yeah, maybe that's what Clay is doing. She's like, I just gotta be like the most casual and extra as I can be because that does not stand out. Whereas Cassian, who's trying to be all sneaky, is like walking red flag, and they're like, put your hands up. We're gonna we're gonna choke you with this K2 droid. Not, it wasn't K2. I thought it was for a second though.
I wanted to talk about Marva. I want to talk about the scene where Cassian is like, there's a couple of revelations that we get from her. The first one is that she's like, everyone on Kenari was killed. Like what happened on Kenari, like there were no survivors. So implying that his sister and the others who were there were dead, implying that when she and Clem found Cassian and they're like, oh, they're gonna kill all these kids, they were right. And I'm like, girl, what the fuck? Now what is going on with that?
I still think she's lying. I do think she is lying and she doesn't know. Because how would she know?
Well,
she took him and left. They didn't like.
I mean, they could have seen it on like Apple News Alert or something.
Okay.
But I also think another really interesting thing that this episode does is like build up. I feel like this almost did more to inform me of the relationship, like the present relationship that Marva and Cassian have, than any of the other episodes before this. Like, seeing them have this very genuine conversation about like her being like, I've never loved anything more than I love you as my son, and him being like, if I leave here I'm gonna be worried about you constantly, and her being like, well, that's just because we're family and that's love. Like, listen, I know I'm very much like, girl, why are you taking this indigenous child? But I'm also like, that was very, like, I really love how this show does nuance, because it's like, yeah, Marva's not perfect, but she does very clearly love her guy, love her little boy. Like, she's a really, really interesting character.
Mama's boy Cassian was also very slay when he was like, I can't leave without. He comes back knowing that it's very dangerous for him to be there, to be like, come on, Mom, and also my special little pet. Like, we gotta, like, he comes back for his mom, which, like, if, you know, usually in, like, a hero story or whatever, like, they go off on their adventure and they never come back or whatever, but he's like, no, I gotta come back for my mom, who, like, and I love that for him. But what I did love about, like, with Marva, and I maybe, hopefully, we will learn more about her backstory and who her and Clem were, like, how she's, like, no, like, she's, like, she is a textbook example of someone being inspired by these now very public acts of rebellion, which we start to see in Rebels as well. But where she's like, no, like, she's like, what am I gonna do? Sit around and die? Like, I it's time for me to do something. She's like I can do something, you know. And the moment where she's like, and she's not trying to convince him of anything, or she's like, it's very indicative of like a mother's love of like, you know, I worked really hard and I kept you safe all these years so you could go off and you could like have a happy life, and I'm happy for you if that's the thing that you're going to choose to do and try to escape this. This is my choice. I can't go with you, and I don't think that I can escape it, and if you want to try, like, I love you for that and I think you should. It was like I got very emotional. But it was also very interesting, the thing to talk about, like, to see someone be radicalized who is not just like a young person, and we don't know her background. Like, she might obviously is already sympathetic, etc., but like, or maybe have done things in the past, but like, to see someone be radicalized who is older also, I think was very important and very interesting. Because we had a lot of stuff with mothers. We also saw Cyril's mother be like a Fox News watching bitch. Be like, they were just causing a commotion. I hope they get what's coming to them. And I was like, girl, what the fuck? And also, she was acting her fucking ass off. Emmy award winning performance. I mean, on everybody's part, but she was acting her ass off in this episode.
Two things. One, I would like to defend Cyril Karn's mother, because she and I are kindred spirits in that we both hate Cyril Karn. And I think it was... No, I think it was just really funny because I remember watching that scene where she was like, look at you with your dumb little collar. what does that say? I'm pathetic. Pay attention to me. I need validation. And I was like,
Yeah.
get his ass
So,
now. Yes, my girl is a Fox News watcher, but she also hates her son. And in that way, she and I are very one and the same.
She's AKAB in a way.
She's ASAP. All cereals are bastards.
All Karns are bastards.
Anyway, the other thing is that, you know, not that I could spend the rest of my life talking about how Jin and Cassian get to function as very well-designed narrative foils to one another, but they both start with this very, like, the Imperial flag isn't a problem if you don't look up attitude. And on one hand, I'm really excited to see what it is that catalyzes Cassian's, like, drive to rebel. But also, I really love the scenes where he was talking to Marta and she was like, you can't just keep letting them do this. He was like, I absolutely can because I can leave and I'm just going to keep doing that. And I was like, okay, like Ollie was saying, like, she's a very nuanced character because on the one hand, I'm like, you've done some fucked shit, but also you're making points right now from a very, what I believe to be like well-intentioned and good place. And I really enjoyed all those. I will say when he's like, okay, we're gonna leave, and she's like, oh, I'm just really tired. I'm gonna lay down. I was like, I feel really not good. Something is about to be really, really bad. I don't know what it is, and then it wasn't. So shout out to her acting because I was like, oh, she's like turned him in or something. I don't fucking know. Like,
Oh my god.
the vibe was just rancid anyway. But yeah, no, I really like those scenes. I really like her being like, you know, the like Claudia, you were saying like the way that people are like inspired by acts of rebellion, which I thought was just great because it sort of seems to be a lot of what they're talking about of like, yeah, these really big things are important in hurting the empire, but far more importantly is that like people are inspired to act after that. And I'm like, yeah, no, she's very sliving, she's very sly.
I will say, my one critique, and I believe most of you will agree with me, was we talked a little bit about like the balance of characters who were killed off, etc. last week. But then we kind of got a little bit of backstory on Cassian's adoptive dad, Clem. And we see it through basically like a PTSD flashback of Cassian in the square. And I was like, and Clem is a black man. And I was like, oh, okay. And we know that he is dead by now. And we see him about to be attacked in some way by stormtroopers. And I was like, oh, is that what we're doing? Jesus Christ. Then they didn't show it. And I was like, okay, maybe it's not so bad. And then later they were like, yeah, so a big trigger warning here if you haven't already seen the episode. He was hung, and we know that there is precedent for that in the, you know, I mean, we saw it in Obi-Wan Kenobi immediately. It's a barbaric thing that the Empire does, but that he was hung in the square. Thank God they barely showed it. And, you know, obviously they're trying to be like, yeah, the Empire is bad, and this is a thing they do to a lot of people. But I was like, and this is how we were choosing for this important black character in Cassian's life to go. I mean, like, again, this is a situation of like, it could be a commentary, but I don't think they are smart enough for it to be a on purpose commentary. And I do feel like it's not necessary. The same point could have been made without touching on that very specific imagery.
See, this is something that I agree with you on. I think that if they were trying to do it as a commentary, they probably could have, like, there are ways they could have made this a commentary. And I think that it was intended to be evocative. Like, I don't think that that was accidental. Like, I think that it was saying, like, something that I think about a lot is I try to frame these episodes from someone who's not me, from someone who is not, like, actively trying to be informed on a lot of things, and not to sound like, oh, well, I'm so smart and I know things. But I think that I almost think that something like that may have happened so people who aren't super plugged in and who may still be like, well, maybe the Empire's blah, 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 blah. Like, they'll see this and be like, oh, this is related to this real world bad thing that is happening. So now I can understand that this is supposed to be bad. Which is interesting because I'm like, it shouldn't really take that type of imagery for you to understand that that's bad. So, like, I can see what they were trying to go with if that's what was happening, but it falls flat when it's trying to actually be commentary.
I think also if this had come from a black writer, like, here's my, I mean, I talked about this last episode of like, this show is slaying very hard. We have a lot of different faces on screen, whatever. However, behind the screen, we still have an exceeding number of white guys. Like, this is a show about a Latino man, and the guy playing him is the only one behind the scenes. At least in the like main writing and directing, it's like white guy on white guy on white guy. So that's like, for me, I'm like, if this was written or directed by a black person, I would be like, that is a thing that they chose to do. And obviously, like, you know, different people are gonna be in different ways comfortable about this, but I also think that, like, I know that there are white writers sometimes who are like, I'm choosing to do this as a commentary, whatever. And I'm like, maybe that's not your commentary to make. And, you know, this comes back to that, like, race conscious versus like race blind casting and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I feel like it could have been done in another way. Like, I mean, they've shown plenty of atrocities that the Empire has done without that. I mean, I am a white person, and it was very jarring for me, and I think the reason I didn't like it wasn't jarring in a like, damn, the Empire sucks kind of way. It was jarring in a like, it took me out kind of way of like, oh, that felt gross in a real world way, not in a, oh, the Empire sucks ass kind of way. Yeah, it was not uncomfortable in the right way, I guess I should say. I was uncomfortable in a I feel this is misplaced kind of way, and it took me out, I guess.
It took me out as well. And I guess what I would say about these types of things where it's like, is what kind of reaction is it meant to elicit, or who's behind the camera and who's behind the script? I am at the same time also constantly plagued by the question of like, okay, and all that put aside, who's consuming it, and like what does that audience take out of whatever is put on screen? Even to the point where it's like, regardless of who writes a scene, it's sort of to me like, okay, but who, everyone consumes it individually differently. And I guess the biggest thing too is like, yes, it's true that you can use something like that to be like, see, it's bad and you should think that it's bad, or it should be difficult to look upon. But I'm also like, why that has to consistently happen to Black and brown people in Star Wars and in most fantasy media is something that I'm like, just don't. Also, like, at least for me personally, I don't think that there ever would have needed to be a scene where we find out how exactly Clem died. That wasn't really relevant. The point being that this character is dead. The point of Cassian is that he's not in his life anymore. And I guess overall, like, the biggest thing I would say about it is like, you can try and make a point with that kind of imagery, but I think no matter what your intention is, you'll never get out of, you've still written a Black man to die in this manner. You've still written this imagery into your story, and you ultimately will still have a white audience consuming that. And I think that no matter the intention behind it, I'm like, why, I guess. And I think that'd be all I have to say about that.
I will also say, you said that like you didn't need that to we didn't need to see how he died. It was very clear. It was very clearly implied anyway. They could have even kept in the dialogue that Marva says. I don't know if she says that how he was dead or whatever. They could have kept in that whole piece of like, I can't go through the town square anymore because that's where he died, et cetera, et cetera. Like, they could have kept that in and then just not showed it, and it would have been a great, I guess, tell not show kind of moment. Instead of like being like, yeah, like, this was actually, putting aside the problematic part, I actually thought that it was like one of the clunkier pieces of storytelling in a show that is so deft with everything else, where they do a lot of show not tell. Disclaimer here, the whole show not tell thing comes from the writers workshop that came from the CIA, so like take that with a grain of salt, etc., etc., etc. However, but they did think it was a bit clunky to be like, so here's the flashback and now we're going to discuss it. And when earlier they've had things to be like, we're just gonna talk about that this happened and you can fill in the rest. We don't need to see it. Especially because this show has like already showed so many atrocities. And like, Cassian has already experienced, the point was also how much it affected Cassian. I get that was the reason, but it was like, we've already shown atrocities that have happened to Cassian. Like, it wasn't necessary. That's always a frustrating thing for me when there's something problematic and it wasn't necessary to the plot or to the character.
Yeah. Yeah, do we want to do brief final thoughts?
My favorite moments in the episode were definitely Mon Mothma's very slay dinner party. I loved every minute of it. I'll be rewatching it. Also, I really can't help but keep raving about the score in this show. Like, the music is so good in every single scene.
The party vibe in Space Miami.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. When that came on, I skipped ahead. I said, please stop playing that. Get that out of my ears. I mean, the score, asterisk, Space Miami.
How dare you insult Mr. 305 like that?
I'm so sorry. Pitbull, please, if you're listening. Pitbull, if you're with us. But yeah, no, I love the soundtrack of the show, and I loved the dinner party vibes. It was good.
I really loved, kind of going off of the score, I really loved the score when Clea was walking through Coruscant to go and meet Vel. I love Vel. I'm obsessed with her. I love her and I love Cinta. So I'm like, it's kind of tied, the conversation between Clea and Vel, and then seeing Cinta do her little thing with her slay little speeder bike moment. Like, those I think are tied for my two favorite parts of the episode.
I just really like this episode. I think it was very long and it had a lot going on. But I never felt bored. I felt very like in it, very saturated, and I felt like we were starting to connect a lot of our plot lines together in a really interesting way. I do love seeing Cyril Karns suffer. I love that. But I will say my favorite part was Cassian's little slut moment. But mostly,
Cassian Andor slut era, let's go.
yeah, Cassian and his slut era, but also him being like, oh no, I'm just taking a shower, storing my money at the top of the shower. Like, I thought that was so funny for him, and I was like, okay, but like anybody could find that. It's like it's not that discreet. Like, honey King, what are you doing? But I love that whole sequence for him, and I do love also, like, you know, a lot of people in Star Wars, they talk about like, I'm gonna go to a beach planet and call it a day, and nobody's ever gonna see me again. And we saw him do it. It didn't last for that long, but we
King
saw
of living
him do
his
it.
dreams, honestly.
Yeah. Although it should have been a man in his bed. I'm just saying. It should have been.
So true.
It should have been a
Don't
man.
disrespect Windy like this.
Her name is Wendy?
Windy, Windi.
Claudia, you bringing up Cassian slut era though, I was thinking last night when I did watch the episode when it dropped, and I looked at everyone's live tweets also, Mackenzie had tweeted like Andor spoilers slut in huge in caps. I
So
thought
true.
that was really funny. And Emily tweeting a picture of Cassian with his, you know, in that moment with his shirt off, pretending to take a shower, and then she's like, "I'm so sorry, I'm just looking at your titties."
I will say I appreciate that they didn't try to go like Marvel, like guy taking off his shirt with that. He was just he's still like kind of just a scrawny little guy. And like, he's very attractive, don't get me wrong, but he's just like, he was just like, I just have my shirt off, and it wasn't supposed to be like, oh, see, look how hot he is, this is our, it was just like, nah, he just has his shirt off and it's fine. And I was like, oh, thank fuck.
Anyway.
I also will say his, I am glad that in his slut era, they are not leaning into the like spicy Latino lover trope. He's mostly just kind of a mess, which is so much better. And they're like, oh, he's such a slut, but it's like, clearly he likes to get in at least short-term relationships instead. So
He's more of a serial monogamist than anything.
yeah, and then every woman is like, you're so pathetic. Anyways, Cassian, I love you.
My favorite moment was Cyril Karns' mother berating him again, like, oh, you know what your caller says about you? That you're trying to get attention. He looked like a potato sack. Also, he finally ate his cereal this episode, so I was like, oh, thank God. If you were gonna sit there and be sad in front of your bowl of cereal and not actually eat it again while your cereal is getting soggy, I was gonna commit an act of violence. And I like Clea's fun little outfit.
Jess, do you think that his little sewn suit, and every time he custom sews his suit, is this some sort of like gay flagging thing in Star Wars? Is that his thing? Is his mother being homophobic?
Yeah, there were a lot of layers to this episode. Some good, some not so good. I think if I had to choose a favorite part of this episode, I I loved the girl boss takedown. I loved the read. That was fun. That was slay. I enjoyed Cassian just being a little guy. His conversation with his mom I found to be like really poignant. I suppose the one other thing that we also just didn't talk about in our episode, just like discussion, was the part where Cyril Karn just kind of gets his like record wiped.
Yeah.
Hashtag nepotism.
He's a nepo baby.
White guy moment. Let's go,
Although
white people.
he seemed upset with that. Like he wanted to like get it like, you know, removed by proving himself, and they're like, oh, we're just gonna like, you know, wipe it, and like he had like the fucking shocked Pikachu like face of like, what?
He looked kind of on the verge of tears for a moment, and I was like, please, oh my god,
Yeah,
the time
I was
is
like,
now.
cry.
He wants to get rid of nepotism, but for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Literally, wow, Mel, thank you for bringing up that moment. I totally forgot where he was like, I have to clear my name for justice, and the
I
guy
know.
was like, anyways, you'll be working in fuel resourcing. Bye, you fucking weirdo.
He
Yeah,
has the
that was
life
so
that Eli
uncomfortable.
Vanto wanted.
May I put forth not a theory, just a funny little concept, a funny little joke for our funny little Star Wars podcast. Cyril Karn, Briarly Ronan.
Absolutely.
Oh my god.
I think they fucked at some point.
No.
Just because they hate each other. Because they
Not
hate themselves.
not hate fuck. I hate this.
Absolutely.
They have to make love. They have to be in love. You don't understand.
But then Briarly
We can't
Ronan
do this. We
leaves
can't
him-
do this.
Briarly Ronan leaves him in like a Moulin Rouge kind of way because he's like, I have to sleep my way to the top with Krennic.
Any final thoughts? Anyone speak now, forever hold your peace?
Well, you were talking about Cyril Karn, and I realized the contrast between him getting his record cleared as a nepo baby and then mandatory minimum sentencing, just getting Cassian Andor's ass was a very interesting commentary. And also they went closer to the Valjean and Javerification.
Oh my god. Okay, I will say that was a moment where I was like, okay, Star Wars, so you can do the lynching thing, and you can do this in the same fucking episode. This is so fucking dark. Can you please, please course correct? Please course correct right fucking now. Anyways.
My final thing that I wanted to say, besides like, Cassian getting wrongly sentenced to 6 years in jail was like very John Valjean coded.
Welcome to Name That Ship. It's everyone's favorite segment. For those of you who don't know, Name That Ship is where one of the hosts will find a fan fiction and we will read off the tags, the characters that are in it, the summary, so that our esteemed co-host can try to guess who the main ship is. Are we ready to go? Okay. I have brought one to you today. It is rated T for teen. This is Character A. Character B. A different character who, if I say, it'll immediately give it away. And a different character and Character B. Character B. Character A. Other character. Asajj Ventress. Alternate universe canon divergence. Alternate universe time travel. Pre-relationship. Light angst. Fluff. And that's the tags.
So, is it a straight ship?
No.
Is it 2 women?
No.
So it's 2 men. Are they both human?
One is.
One is human.
Are any of them force sensitive?
Yes, one of them is.
Is the
Is one of the men Cyril Karn?
No, it's not Cyril Karn.
Is the one who's force sensitive human?
No.
Plo Koon.
Is it Skier?
No. It's not Skier.
I wish
Are
it was
they
Damn
Jedi?
it.
They are a Jedi, yes.
Kit Fisto.
It is Kit Fisto.
What?
Kit Fisto and a man?
Yes, this is, yes.
Is it
yes.
someone from the prequels?
No.
The original trilogy.
No.
Rebels.
from the
Are they from the High Republic?
Sequels.
No. All wrong.
Solo. Rogue One.
Nope.
Is they from a book? Or a TV show?
A TV show, yes.
They are a Star Wars character, right?
Yes, this is a human who is not Force sensitive, who is from a TV show.
The Mandalorian.
Was it?
The book
Yes,
of Boba
it is
Fett.
Din Djarin / Kit Fisto time travel. Kit Fisto has come forward in time.
Oh fuck yeah!
The other character is Grogu. They are raising Grogu together. This is
period.
pre-relationship.
I'm sad.
The summary is the child is crying. Din swallows, the movement hidden by his helmet as he glances towards the Jedi beside him. Kit's face is nothing but calm and his usual bright smile, but his eyes are burning, smoldering with anger, and the Nautilus chin tilts up to face down the witch in front of them. It's Kit's posture that has him on guard, since he seems to be shifting into an offensive stance. Ventress is there.
I love Ventress is there.
I may be mistaken. Din and Grogu may have gone back in time. I didn't read it. I apologize, but
Honestly,
let me.
I'm happy in either direction. This is a pairing I didn't know I needed in my life, but now I think I'm gonna make it my personality.
Absolutely.
Kind of off the shits.
I
Kin?
think it's sliving.
Dit?
Not kin.
Kin?
Kin?
I like dit.
Dit?
Dit? Not
Dit
dit.
Fisto?
Dit. Dit Gisto.
Dit Gisto. Fuck
You're
no.
done. You're
Okay.
done.
That was very funny. Are you ready all for mine?
I'm scared.
Okay. So here's the thing is that first of all, this is a relatively recent fan fiction. And this is once again no hate to this author. Very slay. Love. The concept was just like the concept I think is very probable. It's very slay. The thing about this that made me be like, I have to bring it to the podcast is the prospect of trying to figure out what the ship name is for this, okay? Okay? That's very important to me. Are we ready? Okay. So, I'm going to do something I usually don't do, which is to say read the categories. This is not like really a crossover per se, but I think it's going to help you guys contextualize some things. So, or not the category, the fandoms. Fandoms. Star Wars all media types, Star Wars a book series, and a Star Wars TV show.
So it's a Star Wars book series.
Book series, and then also there's a TV show.
Oh wait,
The fandoms.
It's
No,
but
no,
it's Star
it's-
Wars. Oh, it's a crossover.
Well,
No, it's not, Claudia. What Mel is saying is that it's like a group of Star Wars books as well as a Star Wars TV show. So this
okay,
is a
all
character
right.
from the books and a character from the TV show, right?
Gotcha. Okay,
Yes,
for sure.
correct.
Okay.
The relationships. Character A, character B. I just realized there are no actual tags in this. There's just character tags. Okay, cool. Well, it's 6 characters, and I cannot give you any of them because it will give it away.
Are these characters from the High Republic?
No.
Okay. Are these characters from Aftermath?
No.
Are they
one of
from
them-
the Thrawn books?
Yes, they
Ascendancy.
are.
Are they from
They-
the Ascendancy?
Not
Arinda
from the
Price.
Ascendancy. Not Arinda Price.
Damn it!
Okay, but then there's also from the show. Are they Rebel? Are they from Rebels?
No.
Okay.
Clone
Is-
Wars.
Wolf
No.
Yularen.
Mandalorian.
Not Wolf Yularen. I like where your head is at. Not the
Karen
Arinda
Yularen, his
Price.
wife.
Not Karen Yularen. His.
We
not,
said no to Arinda Price already.
I want
it-
her to be there.
No
Are these-
Rindy.
Are these
Tarkin.
Not Tarkin.
Riley Ronan.
Not Brierly Ronan.
We can't just keep
wait,
shouting names.
wait,
we
wait,
need
wait,
to
wait.
narrow it down.
So these are characters from the canon Thrawn trilogy, not the Ascendancy, shipped with someone from a TV show that is not the Clone Wars, not Rebels, not the Mandalorian, not the Book of Boba Fett.
Correct.
Is it Andor?
Yes, it is Andor.
Thrawn
Okay.
/ Luthen.
Thrawn is one of the characters.
Oh,
Okay.
Eli Vanto.
No.
it's okay.
Okay, so all right. So
I just like that I brought a Thranto fig and that's just it.
wait. So
Is it-
how many
wait,
is it- different pairings are there that we have to figure out?
One.
Okay.
It is
so
Thrawn
Thrawn
and someone
Cassian.
else.
Thrawn Cyril Karn.
No. No.
Thrawn.
Thrawn and Deidre.
No.
Thrawn and Tamarin.
No. No.
Is it Luthen?
No, it is not.
No, that was my first
Is
guess.
it an Imperial character in Andor?
Technically, yes.
Thrawn
However,
and Mon
Lieutenant Gordon?
Mothma.
Thrawn and Mon Mothma is correct.
Yes.
Oh, Thrawn Mothma, let's go.
I think this is my first win in a name that ship in like 8 years.
Thrawn?
No, No, okay.
Throthma Nation, okay.
Throthma Nation, rise up. This was
Ross
so...
Hive, get your hands in the air.
No, because I'm sorry. If Eli was like, I can make him worse, but Mon Mothma was like, I can make him better.
No, because this is the premise of this fanfiction. Mon Mothma was like, oh my god, I have to go talk to Luthen. She like runs in. Who is there looking at art in Luthen's little shop? Ron. And she's like, hey mamas. That is so slay.
Not hey mamas.
Her husband is an asshole.
No,
I think
literally.
She should get to cheat on him with slay aliens. Absolutely.
Hey, so this for some reason jogged the memory of what I wanted to say earlier. Why did we not see Sly more in this episode?
Okay,
Literally.
I did have the same thought. I was like, where's Slay Moore?
Obviously not slaying more.
I don't know why
Slay
that.
less.
I
No,
don't know why the
slay
stick
less.
made me think of her, but maybe because Mon Mothma. But I was like,
Maybe she
it
uninvited
just jogged
her.
the memory of her.
Perhaps cheating on your spouse with an alien.
Yeah, so true. Maybe that's why.
But yeah, I was just obsessed with this, and like, also my favorite line from the fic. This is not necessarily my favorite line. I was just skimming through it. Flirting, Mon blinked, surprised. That's complete nonsense. I was not flirting with Thrawn. So true.
I'm
So
obsessed.
true.
She said, you will not catch me.
She's a lot like Princess Diana when you think about it.
Thank you so much for joining us this week for RuPalp's Pod Race. For updates, Star Wars news, our reactions to High Republic Phase 2, and more curse shit, follow us on social media at RuPalp's Pod Race on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. If you want to ask us a question, send us questions to our TikTok Q&A or email us at rupalpspodrace@gmail.com. And if you really love the show, please rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Spotify, or Overcast. It really helps people find the show. May the Force be with you, and don't kriff it up.
Waka
Waka waka.
Waka,
Waka,
Mr.
waka.
305.
Waka.
What?
Waka. Just say Waka Waka. Come on now.
Waka, Mr. 305, Waka!
I'm gonna send you to jail for 6 years too for that.
Is Pitbull here in the room with us? I think
Mr.
the
Worldwide,
fuck
if you're with
not.
us.
Dale.